Hello, everyone. I am with the famous Effie from the star of What the Effie podcast, as well as such a dear and very, very blessed friend of mine. We met. I'm gonna just try to remember when exactly we met. It was in Florida, I believe, that you were out on the patio, and I had just seen you. I'm gonna show something. I'm gonna show you something real quick. I want you to. I'm gonna share it, and I'm gonna show you. Oh, hoping I can show it to you. Um, okay, this. Share. You just done that. Can you see it?
Yes, I recall.
So
I
when you look at
recall.
this though, this was well over a year ago, and look at how many subscribers you had on Facebook. You had 998 then.
I had
You
not hit 1,000 yet.
had not quite hit 1,000, but that was when you interviewed Derek, who is one of our shared friends, and
Absolutely.
I had watched that and I'd seen and they talked about you skydiving, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is a woman I have to meet. I am in awe. She is my hero. And then, well, lo and behold, what does God do? He throws you right down in front of me at a uh, I think it was a deal maker gathering in Florida, and I just beelined it right up to you and introduced myself, and we have been such good friends since. I mean, you are a blessing to my life. But enough about
I have to
me.
say a big fat ditto. Yeah, I felt I've felt very, very fortunate, and thank you very much for having me on as a guest. I am tickled pink. And I agree. I think from the moment we've met, it has been, you know, if you were a guy and I was a gal, well, I was a guy, you were a gal, like love at first sight, man.
Yeah, love, yeah, exactly. We were meant to meet each other, meant to go down this journey together, which you will have to admit we both started. I started real estate a long time ago, but my real estate investment journey was sporadic during those years. It wasn't until just recently, shortly before I met you, that I started full force into the real estate investment world. And that's where we are in the same place. We started later in our lives. And tell me about Effie before real estate investment. What was Effie like? What'd you do? Where'd you grow up?
Well, Effie before real estate
Yes.
kind of almost doesn't exist in some way
No, that's
because I got started in real estate at a very young age.
yeah.
Yeah, I was born in Greece, very third world. You know, there was no electricity, no running water, and dirt floors. And we had emigrated to Vancouver, Canada, and I was 5 and a half. So I actually got in real estate for the first time when I was about 11 because my mom didn't speak English. And she had it in her head that you ain't nothing if you don't own land. So she wanted us to buy a second home. We had one, which they had house hacked into a duplex, and she wanted to get more, but she could not speak English. And so therefore I was, lassoed into it. And that's when I first started learning about real estate.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say, what was Effie before real estate? Just a little kid.
See, now I don't know if you've told me that story, so that is awesome. I love that. I did not have that benefit. My dad and mom they didn't own a home until I was in the fourth grade. That's when we bought our first home. Yeah. But yeah, and my mom and dad did not. I mean, like I'm like most people, they did not prepare me for the world of taking care of your finances. They lived hand to mouth. They had five kids, five girls, and yeah, they were living. They were living. They were not preparing for their future. So you had some other adventures in your past life, though, that you were a teacher. Yes.
Oh, yes, yep. Well, my parents were very uneducated. My mom had never gone to school, not one day. and my dad went to the third grade. So I didn't really have the many advantages. I just had to come along and translate, period.
Hmm.
And they kind of worked things out as we grew up. But I was expected, since I wasn't a guy, if I was a guy, I would have been expected to be a doctor. But
Sure.
since I was a girl, I was expected to be a teacher.
Okay.
So
Yeah. A
that's
teacher,
fine.
a nurse, a secretary, those are, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Think about it. Think
And
about how
and
far we've come.
I thought about it and I said, I do like teaching. Teaching is okay. I like it. Okay, I'm going to be a teacher.
I
Like,
love it.
what can you do? So I do have a degree in education, and I actually did teach when I first got my degree, but minimally, because by then I was living in Boston with my spouse
Hmm.
who had gone through the Harvard Business School. So I was like, whoa, look at these. It was very heady, meeting some of these very wealthy people and lots of investments and this and that. And they were our friends. But I looked at education and I was like, dang, teachers don't make very much. So, so I didn't really teach until much later. I thought I have to teach when I can afford it, just out of the
Joy,
generosity of my
joy.
heart.
Yeah. It's sad that one of the most prized possessions that we have, our children, their teachers get paid so little. It is sad. It is sad.
It is. It is. And in fact, I didn't really get to teaching until many decades later, when I had returned to Vancouver after entire, decades of other careers. And I decided I have to get teaching out of my system. I haven't done it yet, to the degree I wanted. And they looked at my, whatever it was, 300-year-old degree or whatever. And they're like, yeah, you're a little outdated. And I'm
Oh,
like, what do you mean I'm outdated? And they're like, these things expire. I was like, what? And they're like, you're going to have to go back to school for at least 2 years before you can teach. And I was like, you kidding me?
yeah. That's not
If I go back
fun.
for 2 years, I'm going for a master's.
Oh
That's not
no.
going to work. So yeah, it was funny. It was funny. So I decided, well, how can I teach and not go back for 2 years? And I decided I would teach English as a second language in the private English as a second language industry, which is humongous, to adults. So I got back in the classroom teaching ESL you had to be a minimum of 16-year-old, and my oldest student was 72.
Oh,
So from all over the world, I did it for 13 years because I loved it so much. It was awesome.
oh, I
And I
love
got
it.
paid squat.
Yeah. But you loved it. How do you
I
feel
did.
like teaching prepared you for the real estate investment world? Did it prepare you? Did it help you? Is there tools you bring from that life to this one?
Yes, in some ways, because I think real estate is about relationships much more than anything else. Of course,
Sure.
underwriting is important and
Yeah.
all, but it's heavily based on relationships. So in that regard, it I was meeting people from all over the world. Some of their cultures shocked me, others, pleasantly surprised me, whatever. So I learned it reinforced what I already had as far as relationships to quite a degree. But in the meantime, I had also done real estate. Like
Right.
once I got to be 21 and I was married, and my now ex, had graduated from the Harvard Business School. He qualified for the mortgage, and I started to amass real estate holdings, our own primary residence at first.
Yeah.
And that happened in Boston. And then we moved to Philly and got a couple of rental properties there. And I still kept up real estate. It was still, it had planted itself in my DNA.
Yes.
But when the mortgage ran away because of divorce, it was a different story. I
Sure.
had to look at other ways of supporting myself because I also had the children. And it wasn't until relatively recently that I was able to re-enter in real estate.
In a
And
full force, kind of give it
I'm
all of your attention way, right? Yes. Yeah. It's
exactly,
it's similar
exactly.
to me. I
So
mean, that's why you and I hit it off so much. But really, what inspired you later? What inspired you other than your love for it and the way it got into you? I know how that is. It gets into you and you just don't know how to let it go. But is there anything else that inspired you to get into real estate and make it your primary
Well,
passion?
a couple things. I was still in Vancouver, and this was during COVID, and I was expecting to come down to California. And I was a little surprised because I had, in the meantime, after my ex had graduated Harvard Business School, I ended up staying in the States. I was in the States for 40 years.
Mhm.
Okay, so now I'm aging myself. But anyways, the point is, I had been here a long time. I had my American citizenship, the whole thing. And when I came back down, I was told, oh, I'm sorry, you've been in Canada for 13 years. I'm like, yes. And they're like, yeah, you don't qualify to buy a house. I was like, what? And they're like, your credit sucks. I was like, what? My credit's good. And they're like, no, you've kind of dropped over the years. I'm like, huh? And I didn't realize that you have to keep your credit active in order to keep your score. I had a few credit cards, but I hadn't really used them
Isn't it
except
funny
when
how
I was
so
in the
many people
States.
don't know that? Yeah, yeah.
So when I was told that I don't qualify, it was like putting a red flag in front of me, like a bull. Oh, really? Yeah. You know what? If you've got cash, you better use it because you're not getting a loan. I was like,
Mm,
I'm going to figure this out.
yes.
I want to get into real estate and I'm not going to let this stop me. So how am I going to do it? So I basically studied and looked and came across creative financing. And once I learned more about the huge options in real estate, I was
Hmm.
like, okay, I'm jumping in. So it was to kind of overcome the fact that I didn't want to use strictly cash. You know,
Yes.
being close to, I was retired. I was, 67 when I returned to the States. I didn't want to use all my savings to go ahead and get into real estate in one property. I
Right.
felt, I wanted to be able to spread it out over a lot of things.
Hmm.
And then I started learning that there's so much you can do in real estate, different things.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. Here's a
like
guy
getting a
that
canvas.
here's another photo I want to share with you that let's see if I can find it here. Sorry. Oh, there we go. We're gonna share this one. You joined the mastermind group with Pace Morby and
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
that
that's
great.
right.
This was again right before I met you. Um, and I joined right after this. So the community that we are a part of is really great for networking and being a part of creative ways to buy real estate. So you have been a huge tool for me in that and making sure that I stay on that road. So
Thank you. Thank you.
with did I interrupt your train of thought? Were you finished with that?
No, no, that's pretty much it. Tell me I can't do something and just watch me.
I know, but one of the things that, kind of interests people, you could retire. You have enough money. You could retire. You don't need to work. Why do you continue on this real estate journey? What's in it? What's in it for you?
A number of things. Um, I'm not really interested in just sitting and watching TV. As a matter of fact, I don't have a TV. I haven't owned a TV in about 25 years.
Wow.
I was kind of one of the early birds to say, internet, what's that? Oh, I have to think about what I'm watching
Yeah.
and it's free. Let me try it. And then I was like, oh, I'm not using the TV. Why am I paying for a cable? So I enjoy learning. I think that there's so much that's, certainly I had some experience from when I was a child and the things I had done as a young adult, but I really wanted to see what else is there to learn. So learning is a key part of my personality. I enjoy it. And
Hmm.
I enjoy people. And as I mentioned already, real estate is very much about people.
It
You know,
is.
if you're going to be coming into a property, somebody else had it before you. And what's going to happen with the property and who's going to live in it next. You know, it's all got to do with people. So I enjoy that. I enjoy that a lot. And there's a fair amount of money
Yes.
in real estate. So I didn't have any objections to that. Um, and I am looking to kind of do things for future generations. I could just completely do nothing. I can afford to. I have more than enough money, but I wanted to when I realized that legacy is something that you, if you wish, can get involved in.
Yes.
So I think a lot of us baby boomers, you know, we tend to be have changed the world, you know, in many ways already. And I think we're changing that also when it comes to retirement. Like, what is retirement? What do you
What
want
does
to do?
retirement look like for each individual? People used to just dream. They'd work until they couldn't work anymore, and then they'd collect their Social Security and they'd sit at home and pray that they could take a vacation maybe once every 4 years and not just sit in their chair and watch TV all day.
Right. Exactly. Or use the rocking chair on the front
On the
porch, you
front
know?
porch. Yeah.
Um, exactly. And now we see, you know, baby boomers that are on motorcycles or that are jumping out of you know, airplanes.
Jumping out of airplanes and
And
serving in different ways around the country instead of being, done. I feel like I don't know if I ever want to retire. I want to still be involved in something of purpose until I
exactly.
keep breathing,
Exactly.
keep moving. Yeah, I think when you
And generations before us, and many of us as baby boomers still think that, okay, I'm going to retire. I try not to use all my money so I can leave the children something and, you know, enough to bury me and stuff like that, and I'll be done.
yeah, enough to bury me,
But
so I'm not a
you
burden.
don't have to. Exactly.
Yeah,
And I think now things have changed. You know, I think that you can still do that if you wish. There's nothing, you know, no judgment. But if you also choose to, you can go and continue to grow and continue to invest in your own learning and in different aspects of whatever it is, business, real estate, whatever your passion is. And you can do more of what you want. I haven't done I have traveled a fair amount, but I haven't done, not to my dithers. I choose to travel more.
hmm,
So that does take money and I have it, but I don't want to use it all on traveling. I'd like to have enough income streams coming in so they can allow me to do it without any issue. And when I leave, I actually want to leave money for multiple generations,
yeah,
not just my
yeah.
kids.
Yeah, you have a lake that you could just enjoy and just let it just, dissipate and disappear, or you can create the streams that come in and allow you to let that lake stay there and continue to grow instead of disappear on you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what have you done in the real estate investment world that you're really proud of that you've taken and you have a couple of specialties that you've done well, and I would love to have you talk about those.
Well,
You have
I
more
would
than a
say
couple, you have several.
well, I would say that one of the challenges of real estate is what to focus on
Mhm.
because there are so many options. You know, I like the idea of buying land and either developing on it or selling it, but I'm not in land. I like the idea of self-storage units. They're very profitable. Um, and I'd like to have some at some time, but I'm not in self-storage. You know, I like the idea of having management companies for business for real estate, but I'm not in it. What I am in is a few different things. I'm in the field of co-living, which may be something that your viewers may have heard of or may have
I was going to
not.
say, I think you need to tell them what that's about because they may not know. That's something that has kind of developed in just the last couple of years as something that's become very popular.
That's correct. In the US, that's very much the case.
Mhm.
It's just developing. It has been developed a whole lot longer in Europe, and it's been around forever. But what it is basically um, living in a home, um, almost like in a co-op with other people. So it's particularly good for people who are single. If you are a traveling nurse and you've got to go to, Boston and then Seattle and then Austin and wherever, you may have one animal, you may not, but where are you going to stay? Well, you could stay in a hotel or in an Airbnb, but you can also consider co-living where they're going to rent to you by the room. So sometimes they're furnished. In that case, you'd want a furnished room. You wouldn't want to have to buy furniture in all these different places, but basically search out what kind of a home do you want to live in? And you may find one that's dedicated to nurses or to hospital staff. And you're like, oh, that's cool. These people are also from all over the country. I'd love to get to know some of these people. I'm going to stay here for 8 months. I think I'd like to stay there. Or you may say, you know what? I really don't want to deal with other nurses right now. I need a break. So you're looking for a co-living property where it has a general group, maybe mixed genders, maybe single genders, maybe young graduates, maybe retired people. Many, many, many people don't really want to have to pay the rent that's responsible for a full 1 bedroom because it's so expensive these days, or to keep a house.
Yeah.
So
Or
they're
staying
like, you
in
know what, I'm going to go to.
or stay in an extended stay where it's so unpersonable and very lonely. I mean, it's a great way for people who love to be around people to have a community instead of just a feeling like they're on an island. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's co-living. And co-living has many, many different aspects. It can have, like I said, it could be for any demographic. You find some investors that deal with vacation. So you're going to go on a vacation, but you're a single person and you want to be in Lake Tahoe, but you don't want a full Airbnb and you don't want to be by yourself all the time. And you go to a co-living place where, dang, there are 5 other people from across the country and they've all wanted to go to Lake Tahoe.
Yeah.
And the cost is substantially less and it's all set up already. And you're meeting other people from all over the country. So many, many different aspects. It's wide, but it's just starting to take off in the States.
Yeah. Now you live in Chicago.
Ugh. Yes, I live in Chicago. And any of your viewers who are here in Chicago, I feel sorry for you.
Yes.
I do not want to be in Chicagoland. It is so cold.
But you
It
have a really
is
good
so
reason for
cold.
being in Chicago. You have a great reason for being in Chicago.
I do. I do. Her name is Samantha.
Yes.
She's beautiful.
She
And
is adorable. I'm gonna just show you something here that I think you will love to show people. Look at that girl. She's gotten bigger, but that's a great picture of her.
she's she was 2 at the end of October now.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
can you see me okay?
I can see you. Can you see the picture?
Okay. No.
Can't
But
see the
I just got a message saying my internet's not stable. It's okay. But she's beautiful. I love her very much. She's my only grandchild. I have 2 children. I have a daughter, her mom, and I have a son, and he's in California. So yeah, that's what brought me here.
Yeah, you did disappear. There you are. Now you're back. Thank the Lord. Came back to us. See your beautiful face. But yeah, she's beautiful. And she is the reason why you um, tolerate the Chicago weather and the Chicago life. But you don't really buy there, right? Do you buy in
No,
Chicago other than
I
your
purchased
primary
my own
residence?
residence,
Yeah.
but my market is in Charlotte,
Mhm.
North Carolina for right now. So I'm getting into soon. I'll be looking for my second co-living property, and that's exciting.
I'm
I've
excited for you.
also, yeah, thank you. I'm a partner or a JV partner in a wholesale business, which for those who may not know, again, is when wholesalers source homes at a wholesale price. In other words, not market price, because they're in the business of getting them below market and then finding someone who's interested in putting the money in to fix it and make it usually livable, because they're usually homes that are distressed.
Yes. Yeah, where somebody needs to
So
get out of
I
them.
don't do wholesaling myself, other than to support the wholesale company.
Hmm.
I bring the money, I bring the attention, that sort of thing. It's fun. I've uh, had an Airbnb, which I'm just in the process of selling today. I got to
You
finish the
are? You,
paperwork.
the one in Atlanta?
I am.
You're selling it?
Yes,
That's
yes, we're selling it.
exciting.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
it is. It is. So that was interesting to me. And I also, that arm of my real estate business is considered assets,
Hmm.
because we're buying properties. Even in wholesale, you're owning the property for at least some time. But on the other side is um, lending or finances.
Yes.
And that's a very interesting uh, option for real estate.
Tell us how you got involved in that.
Um, I got involved in it partly because I was told I'll have to use my cash to buy houses. And I was like, not one house, not two houses, I want a lot.
Yeah.
So I started figuring out, well, how do you get money if you don't qualify with the banks? They liked me. They said, it'll take time for your credit score to go up, and now it is back up to 800 or so, and that's fine, but at that time I wasn't interested in just waiting.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do you do that? And that's when I realized that investors eventually run out of their own money, so they're always looking for funding. And you as an individual, or I as an individual, can choose to lend money
Yep. Use other
to
people's
another
money.
individual, an
Yeah.
investor.
Yep.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So I started to look into lending and realized, whoa, girl, go slow. You got to know some things, like how to underwrite property and how to vet the borrower and how to decide where you're going to lend. Because if you lend in California and something goes wrong and the investor disappears, it's a different process than if you lend in Georgia, let's say, where
Yes.
if you need to, you're always going to be secured. You should always be secured by property. So if we have two people that want to borrow money from me, and one's in California and the other one's in Georgia, they both want to borrow the same amount, whatever it is. Let's say it's $40,000, and they're both offering the same return. And these things are all negotiable, like how much you're going to lend, what kind of return you're going to get, the timing. Are you going to lend it for 4 months or 7 months or a year or 5 years? They're all negotiable.
Right.
And how are you secured? I like to be secured in first position, which means that my name goes right on the title.
Hmm.
And if I need to take it back, I can.
Right.
In other words, I'm in first position. If you don't pay me, I have the rights to foreclose on that house. So I like to put myself in, that's the best position. But there's also a second position and third and blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
And if you're going into those other areas, you really should have a great return and you better be very careful. So we
Very well
vet the person.
underwritten. Yeah, you want it underwritten well, and you want to make sure that you can, afford to lose it because you don't know. You just don't know. Like some of those
Exactly.
second and third positions can be as solid as can be, and then some of them are, soggy. They're soggy, and you could go underwater really fast. So
Exactly.
Just make sure you
Exactly.
do your homework before you do anything besides the first position work. And even
And you
in
have to
first position.
learn. You got to be ready
Mhm.
to learn. Yeah, you got
Isn't
to
it
be ready
fun
to
though?
learn
Isn't
how
the
to
fun?
underwrite.
Yeah, I love the
It
learning.
is. It is.
Hmm.
And I have not had to foreclose on anyone. And I'm not, saying I'm looking forward to it. But one of the things that got me over the fear of lending was working with someone who has done a lot and an awful lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, aren't you worried about foreclosing? And he
Hmm.
said, absolutely not. I hope it happens. I go, what? And he's like, yeah, so far I've only had to threaten foreclosure twice. And in both times, it was resolved because I had underwritten properly. I was in first position. They knew I'd foreclose if they didn't, make
Hmm.
things right. And they made things right. He says, now I have my third one, and I actually should follow up to see if that happened. He goes, I hope it goes to foreclosure so that I can see it's like on the other side. He goes, but I've done hunts. I'm like, ah. So
Yeah,
if you
it really
do
is.
your learning,
Yeah, it really is a no-brainer if you do your homework and make sure that you have a good underwritten property that if you are in first position and you take it over, yeah, you win. Winner. You get the property, you get the
yep,
pros, you get all that they put into it as well as, you get to walk away with an
yep,
investment. Yeah. And then get your money back that way.
yep. So one of my rules is I don't ever lend on anything I wouldn't be happy to own.
This is such a good
Because if they go
rule.
into foreclosure, I should say, wow.
I could
Okay,
live
thank
here.
you.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
don't mind.
Yeah.
So I don't let them that I wouldn't want. Well,
Yeah.
why would I do that? If I end up with it, I'm like, oh, crumb, I got this thing that I don't want.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot to learn, but it is very exciting.
That's always been my thing is I will not buy a rental property. I will not put money into any property that I would not at some point be okay if I had to live in it. If I had to live in it and
There
then
you
take
go.
care of getting rid of it. Yeah. So those are good guidelines that I live by as well. So I get it. So private money. So
Yep.
how is your business evolving in your co-lending, in your excuse me, your co-living, the and your Airbnbs, you're selling the one, or do you plan on getting any new ones at all, or are you just going to focus on co-living
No,
and
not
private money
really.
lending?
I'm right. I'm focusing on coding and I'm focusing on raising capital and
Mhm.
lending.
Mhm.
And I'm also interested in just helping other people. You know, um,
So good at.
I didn't get to where I am in 2 years because I just did it all on my own.
No.
I got here because of people like you. When I was worrying about the word fund. What the heck is a fund? I remember that when my ex-husband was at the business school. Hold on. Wait, isn't that really heady? Don't you need a Harvard MBA? And then, you did a fund. And I was like, oh, she did a fund. And I'm watching and I'm like, wow,
Okay.
okay. I think I could do it if I really wanted to. And I just say, Brenda, come over here.
One step at a time. It's
So I
one
love
step
the
at a
fact
time.
that
Instead of the elephant, you
helping
take a
people,
stand of it.
you
Yeah.
don't
Sorry.
you do it together and like you said, one step at a time.
Yeah, but you are amazing at social media. That's one thing that I just feel like you have excelled at from the very, very beginning. You embraced it, you just tackled it, and you just were consistent. You've done 100 or more than 100 podcasts of your own that you've hosted. And then you also have been on several podcasts that other people invited you on, like mine. Thank you very much for coming. And I feel very privileged because I know how busy you are, and I know that you help so many people. But that social media is such a big bite for most people our age to jump in and just say, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And you put your face out there, you put your voice out there, you put your opinion out there. And how do you do that, Effie? Just
Oh,
tell me how you do that, because that is one of the things that I know I struggle with, other people struggle with. We just feeling like we're going to get judged or we're going to get, made fun of. how do you do it? How do you make it so that it's easy as you make it look?
Oh, I wouldn't say that it's particularly easy.
Yeah.
Um, how did I do it? Well, I did it because I was told I had to, and I said, "No, I don't. Don't tell me what I have to. No way." And then that person who's highly successful, one of our mentors,
Yeah.
said, "Well, how did you meet me?"
Yep.
And I was,
He has said the same thing
yeah,
to me for over two
okay.
years. And look at me. I am just now barely just last year started stepping into the social media and making it a part of my marketing, true marketing, to expand my community, expand my mind, expand my experience in it. But so you jumped like you did out of that airplane. Seriously, just
Yeah, in a way. But
uh-huh.
he also said something that stuck with me. He said, "Oh, you think I was always this fantastic?" Because he is very, very good.
Yeah.
And I thought, hmm, I admire you. I think you're awesome. But I bet you didn't really, you weren't always this awesome. So I went way back into some of his really early stuff and I laughed my head off because I didn't know that he was such a smaller man,
Yeah.
because the camera doesn't really show you size that much, except it adds weight to us women. But anyways,
Unfortunately, yeah. 10
with
pounds.
with him, I went back to some of his earlier social media, and he looked like he was 12 years old.
Oh,
And he's Mormon, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you could tell he was Mormon when you first met him. A little checkered sleeve, short sleeve, and almost looked like he was knocking on your door saying, "I'm a Mormon." And he was kind of like a little stiff and stuff. And I looked at him and I laughed and I said, "Dang, he's right. He sucked. He sure doesn't now. But at the beginning, this is actually funny." And I thought, okay, if he sucked and was not really good and he pushed through it, what the hell's stopping you?
you can do
Pardon my
it.
language.
Exactly. You can do
And
it.
I'll tell you what was stopping me is this nose. This nose is
No,
stopping me because to
I
me this nose is like a million miles long.
look at how long mine is. We're very,
It's not as long as mine.
I've been teased about my nose my whole life. I have a very long nose, and mine is more pointy than yours.
Well, I've been, teased about mine a lot too. So
But
that is
yes, yes,
what
Pace Morby is the king of creative financing, and you cannot learn better than from him. He is fearless when it comes to just giving you all the details. He does not hold anything back. He's a good place to go when you want to get resources on how to do a creative deal. Yeah, he's unbelievable. Fearless.
So just to finish answering your question, I decided, okay, get over yourself. Get over yourself and just do it. And that's kind of what has happened. Although, frankly, to be honest, for people who are really, really good with this stuff, they will say to you, or they'll say to me, "You're not looking at the camera." And
Ah,
that's because when I catch myself looking at myself, I still go, "Ooh."
yes. Yeah. I
So
don't.
I'm
No.
not as comfortable as people think. And I don't do things as well as perhaps I should, but it doesn't matter. It's just me. I have to
Well,
be
you look
comfortable with.
beautiful, so you shine. You shine everyone I've watched. I've appreciated how you engage with your guests as well as ask very what I want to know questions. So that's good. I learn more from you every day.
Aw,
Yeah.
well, thank you.
Um. So did anything else in the future for you as far as real estate goes? What do you see? How do you see it? How do you see your world evolving?
I
How do you
think the
see
adventure
real
has just
estate?
started.
Yeah.
I think the adventure is just starting. I would say that if I looked out in, three, which I have, I've tried to plan. When I look out at 3, when I look out at 5, when I look out at 10 years, I'll still be doing this unless I've passed.
Mm-hmm. I
Which
have
I
not.
hopefully won't have. But the point is, it's part of me, and I can do anything I want. Why would I want to do anything else? I mean,
That
anything different? There's so much
yeah.
here.
That was my next question is why? What's the biggest thing about it that you love? What's, what, how has it changed you? How's that made your life different?
It's made my life different by showing me that I don't have to live a life where I must sit in the rocking chair and be quiet. And don't get this wrong, and just be a grandma. I mean, I love being a
You love
grandma.
being a grandma. Yeah, we all love
Absolutely.
being a
And it could totally consume me. I had to put my foot down, tell my daughter that no, no, I'm busy making the future, so I cannot take care of her full time. Sorry that I don't want to do that. Um, but I do get my Grammy Day at least once a week, and I help her out wherever I can with the costs of having good daycare. But it lets me do what I want to do. And that's, kind of where I'm going to go. Ah, New York.
Yes, so many fun things that we get to do with our adventure. Like you bought in North Carolina. You bought in North Carolina. You don't live there, but you went there. You get on a plane. You take care of it. You have people to help you. You go find the resources. It's an adventure that is, it's people say it's risky. It's only risky if you don't do your homework. I mean, there's always risk, obviously. You always have
There's
to
risk
be.
in sitting on a rocking chair. You're going to
Yes,
die sooner.
exactly.
There's risk in everything. And I am not going to be the person that says, oh, real estate is all, glory and money and stuff like that. It can't. Ah, I
This
love
is where
you.
you surprised me and made me your podcast guest
That's
on the
right.
fly, and
Yeah.
my very first ever podcast, and it was in
Yeah,
Montana.
you saved me that day.
It was in Montana. We were in Montana,
I love
right?
you, girl.
Weren't we in Montana? Maybe we were in Arizona.
Arizona, I think.
It was
But I
fun.
want to say thank you very, very much for that.
Yeah, yeah. It was my pleasure.
So yeah, I would say that real estate, like anything else, has risks. It's got a learning curve, but there are mitigations to this, and you got to do your homework. You've got to be a very conservative underwriter and really make sure you've got the right paperwork. And then you want to also vet the people that you're dealing with. You know, all of that. And I still expect that at some point I will lose something
Yeah,
because if you're in business or even if you're in life, you're going to lose some.
right.
But it's about being careful and never risking more than you can lose.
That's it. And mitigating your risk in the doing all of the preparation and planning and the research that you need to do so that when you do lose, you're like, okay, what could I have done differently? Really nothing. So that's where you say, okay, that's a part of the game. Next one I'll do better. But if you were to change one thing or anything in your recent real estate uh, adventures, is there one thing you would have changed? Anything you would have done differently?
Um, well, hindsight is 2020, of course.
Yeah.
Um, but not really. I think
Nope.
that I would have liked to have gotten started earlier. That would have been better. But, I'm 70 years old. I don't feel it's too late. I feel starting at 68 was, yeah, so,
Yep.
not a biggie. Um, I mean, I got started really young too, right? But no, I don't think I would change a whole lot.
What would you say to somebody who is 60, 62, 65, 68, starting right now? What would you tell them? Where would you first bit of advice to give them?
Okay, first bit of advice. I would say search yourself, search your heart to see what do you really love
Mm,
and what would you like to learn a whole lot about. Maybe it's not real estate. Maybe it's, rescue animals, or maybe it's, you know, food or something like that. I don't know. But um, if it is real estate, I think that you should not allow age to hold you back. I think that the best years for real estate are ahead of us. And I think 2022 is probably like the top of the market. So now we're, coming down into better lands, and we'll see what happens with this new administration and such. But I would say, as long as you're interested and you have a keen interest, there will be ways for you to learn.
Yeah.
Go and surround yourself with people that you like so that you can get to know them and trust them, because that's who you'll do business with people
True.
you like, know, and trust, and learn about whatever it is you might want to learn. Multifamily, commercial, it doesn't matter what it is,
Yeah.
Airbnb, whatever it is. If you've got interest, you should go ahead and serve that interest.
Yeah.
And some people have a real passion, like they want to help people, young teenagers who are coming out of the foster system, or past alcoholics, or retirees, or they have a passion to help a particular group. We have a lot of people who do that in sub two. If you've
Yeah.
got one of those, then think about how many rescue setups you could use for animals, with finding the right property at a minimum price and converting it and making it into an animal rescue, whatever it is. Just go after what you want. Expect it to be work. There will be some days that are hard, no doubt about it.
Yep.
But just surround yourself with people that will help lift you up, and go at it. Go
Go
at
at
it.
it. Just do it. Just do it. And that's the thing that if I'm with you, is that I would just tell them one step at a time, one step at a time. Figure out. A lot of people, as we love to say, get that they get distracted very easily because there's so many ways to go in the business of real estate. But if you just focus on one when you start, just focus on the one. Don't let yourself, get that whole what's it called, Effie?
FOMO, fear of missing out,
FOMO, fear of
or
missing out,
or
or
being a squirrel, or shiny
yeah,
objects, all
just
those
shiny
diseases.
object syndrome that I love to have, because it's like, oh, wait, I'm doing this, but they're doing
Look
something
over
bad. Look at
here.
what they're doing over there. So it would just be, yeah, take it one step at a time in the direction. And a lot of times it evolves because of that. It evolves to, like you never would have thought you were going to do co-living. Mm-mm. You were down the road of buying long-term
That's right.
rentals. Yeah. And then you stepped into this and you
That's
love
right.
it, and
That's
and
right.
it's a good fit for you, and it's a good fit for that area. So many areas benefit from co-living. It's a
Yep.
blessing to have it available.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
For sure.
And then, so one last thing that I would like to ask you. If someone were, I'm going to, here, this is, oh, this is something I was going to show people. I want to show them this really quick, because this is where Effie is now in her,
Yeah.
no, that's not what I want to share. Sorry, we're going to stop sharing that. And we're going to share this. Is that sharing? Is that it's still showing that picture, isn't it?
That's my Facebook page.
That's what I want. I want to show your Facebook page, because look,
Oh,
look at how many followers you have.
I'd have more if
5,004.
Facebook didn't limit us.
I know. But I want people to see that in 2 years, less than 2 years, because it was a little over a year ago, or just about 2 years ago. It was a year ago, November, that you and I met. And that was when that was 900. And now you have 5,400. And that's because you put your you put your head in the game, and you just decided that you wanted to be a force of influence for people. So how can people help you? What can people come to you with? If there's something, is there something you need, that if somebody looks you up on Facebook and messages you, says, Effie, I got this, what would that be?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, a property in North Carolina,
yes. In Charlotte specifically.
Charlotte specifically.
Charlotte
Yeah.
specifically, yeah. I'm always, that's the asset aspect of it.
if they have money
Um,
they want to invest in North Carolina or Charlotte, North
yeah,
Carolina in a
I would
co-living.
say maybe, um, you know what? If anybody really wants to help out in any way, they could go to my website.
Okay.
And yeah, and at the website, they'll see the different things and they can decide what they're interested in. Um, I think more than anything, I would love to see them continue to watch your podcast
Oh,
because I'm going to. And I'm super, you know, stoked and happy that you had me on first. But you are so valuable, and I feel so lucky to have you that I would say if they really said, how can I help you? I'd say, don't look to help me. Help yourself by continuing to follow Brenda
you're so sweet.
and learn through her and other guests that she brings. That would be more than enough as far as I'm concerned.
That
It
is
will
just
come
shows
back to you.
that just shows your heart because I ask you what we can do for you and you throw it right back on what people can do for me. And that shows where you are in this place in your life. You're just such a giving person and I am very blessed to have you and enjoy your company and we'll be seeing each
Thank you.
other in March and I can't wait for that and let me know if there is anything I can ever do for you because this was amazing. I really enjoyed having you as
Just
my
keep being yourself, girl, and go where you're intended to go.
thank you. Thanks,
Thank you.
Effie. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hoping that you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.